I've just seen on the news wires here. I'll just bring them to you. First of all, one from the Russian Foreign Ministry, which says this decision to withdraw US troops from Syria creates prospects for a political settlement. That's what the Russians believe. And then there's a statement from the Pentagon as well, which says the coalition has liberated the ISIS-held territory, but the campaign against ISIS is not over. Let's discuss some of this with Joshua Landis, director of the Center for Middle East Studies at the University of Oklahoma. He's with us now from northern Oklahoma. First of all, Joshua, the fact that this seems to have come as a bit of a surprise to everyone, do you think it might be one of those Donald Trump things where he said something and it's triggered a whole lot of things maybe that weren't supposed to happen yet, or this is a firm commitment to get out?
Well, we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, both Pompeo and Bolton will try to walk the president back on this, as they have done before. But this seems to be a fairly determined, fairly strong statement. And Turkey has been escalating. Turkey has been sending shells into North Syria, telling the Americans they have to step aside because they want to take on the terrorists, quote unquote, YPG Kurds in North Syria. So Turkey is not going to let America off the hook on this. They want America out of North Syria. And the president has made the decision that he doesn't want to go to war with Turkey in order to stay in Syria. That's the same decision that President Obama made in 2015 when the Russians jumped in. He said, we're not going to go to war with Russia for Syria. And Trump is making, in a sense, the same policy. I think it's a wise one in the long run. Our position in Syria is very weak.
The idea, Joshua, that ISIL has been defeated, I mean, I just read that statement for the Pentagon where they said the coalition has liberated ISIL territory, but the campaign against ISIS is not over. That would seem to be a bit more circumspect, wasn't it? I mean, the battle against ISIL is not over.
No, the battle against ISIS is not over, but it needs a good police force. And that's the question. Now, does America staying in North Syria help to ultimately defeat ISIS or not? That's the big question. And I think you can make quite a strong argument that the Syrian army and the Kurds can defeat, along with the Iraqi army, can defeat ISIS and continue to mop up cells that are secret and are hiding. That's going to be the long-term plan. Ultimately, it has to be the Syrian army and the Syrian police that do this in Syria. If America stays there and goes to war against Turkey, the Syrian government, Iran, it's going to keep the pot churning, and ISIS will be able to run between the legs of these warring parties. You must reestablish state control. The reason that ISIS spread in this region in the first place is because America invaded Iraq, destroyed the government. Al-Qaeda blossomed, Zarqawi, and then the Arab Spring in Syria, with the government withdrawing from eastern Syria, ISIS and Al-Qaeda from Iraq immediately jumped into Syria and spread because there was no police force, no government. If you're going to heal that problem, you have to rebuild the Iraqis and rebuild the Syrian state.
Joshua, another line here from the Pentagon. Let me just quickly read it to you. The Pentagon says it started the process of returning US troops as, quote, we transition to the next phase of the campaign. The idea of US troops coming home is always a good one politically, I think, for presidents, the idea that men and women will be out of harm's way. But then they've also seen, and you may have as well, opposition to the idea from prominent US senators, the likes of Marco Rubio and Lindsey Graham as well. Politically, how might this play out for the president and for the Congress?
Well, I think it's going to be very popular with his base. President Trump, one of the reasons that he won the elections in the first place is that he said, our wars in the Middle East are stupid. We're spending $5 trillion. Let's spend it at home. Americans liked that. They wanted him to fulfill that, and they've seen him continue wars in Afghanistan, continue wars in Iraq, Syria, ISIS. They think that he has been taken over by the Washington blob, that the neocons have continued and others have continued to, promote this very aggressive foreign policy. They don't like it. Americans don't want to spend money abroad. So I think that this, he's in a sense going back to his campaign promises that were not fulfilled. And getting out of Syria is a smart move. Trying to build, I don't think, now America owes, it's important to say that America owes something to the Kurds who've helped them. America is not, I don't think, going to withdraw from Syria tomorrow. It's going to draw down its situation. It's reassuring Turkey. America wants to avoid a war with Turkey. Whatever policy America pursues in the Middle East, it's crucial to have Turkey on board. America so far has doubled down on Saudi Arabia. We've got one, sort of unipolar foreign policy in the Middle East, and that's Saudi Arabia and, of course, Israel. But Saudi Arabia against Iran, it's not a fair fight. Iran's going to win, especially if you alienate Turkey. If America really wants to hurt Iran, which I think is not a very wise policy, but if it does, it has to have Turkey on board. And Erdogan made this perfectly clear by torturing Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince of Saudi Arabia, over the Khashoggi affair. Drip, drip, drip. He undermined America's foreign policy establishment in the Middle East. And he's letting America know, if you don't play with me, I'm going to hurt you.
Joshua Landis, always a pleasure talking to you and getting your thoughts. Thank you for that.